This list is quite insane, actually. This is a list of countries that hold Bitcoin and how they acquire the Bitcoin. But before that, I just wanted to have a quick look at Bitcoin itself. The price moving sideways. Looked like it showed a bit of promise yesterday because of some positives coming out of the Fed, rumors that the Fed will cut rates in December. That kind of reignited things. But again, we're in the weekend now, so you expect it to cool off a little bit because of the low traffic. Also, the United States is full of people right now who are, full of turkey, and they're just basically still asleep, having binged themselves to near extinction yesterday. And some of them obviously are also suffering from the effect of drinking too much alcohol. So we're thinking food comas and hangovers. So when they all wake up, we might see a little bit more movement, especially, come Monday when some more traffic returns to the market. Wall Street wakes up again. The XRP inflows might also influence the market in terms of sentiment. It does seem like XRP is starting to lead the market sometimes now out of downturns when it comes to recovery. So shout out to XRP, waiting for inflows to come into that on Monday, and that might reignite Bitcoin as well. So we shall see what happens. However, in the meantime, entities like Cathie Wood, do you remember her? She used to be a big name. I joke, she's still a big name when it comes to Bitcoin investment. It was the likes of her, Michael Saylor, people like Grayscale, even Raoul Pal that used to, and to an extent, Elon Musk, that used to influence what people thought about Bitcoin on social media. She is doubling down and insisting on her $1.5 million per Bitcoin price prediction for this bull market, which is quite interesting. A lot of people kind of ridiculed her a little bit on social media, saying that she's in la la land, daydreaming, especially when Bitcoin did that $87,000 plummet, which really isn't a plummet. The thing is, look, Cathie Wood is a veteran investor. She's seen it all. She's seen all the cycles of Bitcoin. She knows how it is. She can see some of the information in the background that we can't see, obviously. And of course, she's got her money where her mouth is. That's another difference, okay? So if she says that Bitcoin is going to 1.5 million, who am I not to believe her, right? That's what she thinks and that's what she says, and her money is behind her mouth. Unlike some people at JP Morgan and all those places where they say things, but we can't really see what their money is doing. Or if you dig deep enough, you would find that the money is doing the exact opposite of whatever it is that they're shilling. There's some good tax news actually coming out of the United Kingdom, which I'm going to cover maybe tomorrow. I don't think I'll make another video today after this one. But yeah, shout out to Cathie Wood. She says that things are looking up for Bitcoin. Also, there's an analyst who says that they see an incredible upside in Bitcoin. And the last time they've seen this was since COVID. So Bitcoin hasn't seen such asymmetric risk reward since COVID, said the analyst. So basically what they're saying is, if you look at the risk of the upside versus the downside, the risk of the downside is very low compared to the possible risk of the upside. So what they are saying is that they see this as a good time to go in. Not financial advice. Do your own research. It also means that they don't believe that there's a bear market already ongoing. Some people are already calling the bear market, especially on social media. They are saying, nope, not bear market yet. And a lot of these Bitcoiners says they're not convinced of bear market either. So shout out to the analyst showing a little bit of data there. What do you think? I like to look at Bitcoin, even though I haven't got that much Bitcoin, to be honest. I stash mostly XRP. I do have some Bitcoin, obviously, but nothing significant. But I like to look at Bitcoin and what Bitcoin is doing, because even till now, everything, including XRP, still follows Bitcoin, basically. So a rising tide lifts all boats. And looking at what's happening with Bitcoin, kind of still till now, still governs what happens in the general crypto market. Now, let's get to that list of countries. El Salvador, by the way, AI generated this. The prompt was basically to tell me, how many countries are holding Bitcoin for treasury purposes. And it's telling me that El Salvador is the only country that has directly purchased Bitcoin as part of its official financial strategy, acquiring its holdings through direct purchases rather than seizures or mining. That's quite interesting, isn't it? Other governments have accumulated Bitcoin primarily through law enforcement seizures, thieves, of assets from criminal activities or via mining operations rather than direct purchases. So all of these other countries, including the United States, I'm not sure how true that is, to be honest, have either just taken somebody else's Bitcoin or, crypto and converted it to Bitcoin, I don't know, or they themselves have been mining Bitcoin. So they've been participating in generating it, just not buying it, even though they have lots of money. So shout out to El Salvador. I remember when El Salvador started announcing that they were going to buy Bitcoin, they came against a whole lot of haters, man. National haters, people telling them, oh, Najib Bukele is spending his country's money, his citizens' taxes to buy a sham token. And he's laughing now because this country is a massive, massive profit, right? And also, they're the only governments that just did this in a legit way, where they've just gone to the market and bought Bitcoin. I remember them celebrating, we bought the dip, it's like they're actual crypto bro country, right? The country is a massive crypto bro. So shout out to El Salvador, right? So as you can see, the only government that has directly purchased Bitcoin, acquiring 7,475 BTC as part of its national financial strategy. Now, of course, that's not that much Bitcoin, right? There are, people that I know personally that have more Bitcoin than El Salvador. But, it is what it is. And they have Bhutan. Bhutan accumulated 11,286 BTC. That's more than El Salvador. That's actually crazy. It's like people don't even think about Bhutan as a country, let alone them featuring, in this whole sort of crypto. Like, people don't even think about Bhutan, let alone them featuring on this list with a significant amount of Bitcoin through sustainable Bitcoin mining powered by hydroelectric energy, representing a government-led mining initiative rather than a purchase. I feel like playing some holy background music, some sort of new age ding 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 ding, ding, because it's so Bhutan, isn't it? Very zen, very sort of eco-friendly, very mindful country. So shout out to Bhutan for ethically mining Bitcoin without any fanfare whatsoever. They haven't said anything about it. They've just gone and done it quietly without, screaming about it on social media. So shout out to them. The big guy, the United States, holds 198,000 odd BTC. That's whopping amount, man. That's a lot of Bitcoin. And this is primarily acquired through seizures from criminal operations such as the Silk Road dark web marketplace. So basically, most of United States Bitcoin was just seized from bad dudes, right? And it's funny how the United States as a country, even though they're not holding as much Bitcoin and they've, basically seized most of it, there are entities though within the United States, if we're being fair, who are buying Bitcoin. We heard Texas actually purchased Bitcoin. So a state in the United States spent $5 million so far actually purchasing Bitcoin. Whether or not they bought it on the market or OTC, I don't actually know. I haven't looked deeply into that. I just saw and read the headline about them allocating 5 million out of the 10 million budget already to Bitcoin. So they probably will be buying or have already bought, who knows, another 5 million to make that 10 million. So there are entities like other states. I mean, even though Texas is the only state that's done it, but I won't be surprised to see other states do it. New York State, California, etc. Moving to that. Maybe Alaska. I wouldn't be surprised. Also, there are companies, obviously, within the United States. MicroStrategy or Strategy is a big example of companies actually doing it. So there are, if you count the companies inside the country, probably the United States will be far, far head and shoulders above of everybody else. And we'll be talking about millions of BTC rather than hundreds of thousands. Okay. In a number 2 is China, as expected, which holds 194,000 clean BTC. Now, why is it 194,000 and not 1,023 point something, just like United States? It seems that they might be selling off the top, or maybe they're releasing the information and just rounding off the numbers. So perhaps some of the wallets that China holds, we don't even know. This kind of hits me as coming from a government release data themselves, and they would tend to round numbers to the nearest 1,000 or whatever. Anyway, so these are largely seized, just like in the United States, from the Plus token Ponzi scheme in 2019, with no indication of direct purchase. So again, with China, the information is not always completely available. We have to go by what the government releases or what, some hackers or data miners find. So yeah, we don't know if China has actually officially bought any or mined any, but we do know that they've seized that much Bitcoin. That's a lot, right? The United Kingdom holds 61,245 BTC obtained through crime-related seizures, including assets from a former takeaway worker attempting to buy a luxury property. Oh, man, that's so British. So yeah, shout out to the United Kingdom. Ukraine holds 46,351 BTC, reportedly linked to seizures of assets from cyber criminals and public officials. Again, same thing as the UK, but on a slightly smaller scale. Now, this is unfortunately my favorite one. North Korea holds 13,564, so a significant amount, believed to be acquired through cyber attacks and illicit activities. So, so other countries like the UK, the US, China have Bitcoin that they've seized from unscrupulous activities by other people, criminals. In the case of North Korea, they are the ones that are the criminals. They, in fact, oh my days. So North Korea has a can-do attitude. All right, they're putting the best foot forward, and they're the ones that have gone out and acquired the Bitcoin via the illicit activity. Shout out to North Korea, man. And then you have the UAE, which holds 6,420 BTC, reportedly from seizures of strategic accumulation. Now, surprisingly, the United Arab Emirates have indicated that they might be or are going to be buying XRP for treasury purposes. So it might be that, they prefer XRP to Bitcoin. That's quite an interesting one, right? And then, of course, we have Venezuela, which holds 240 BTC. 240 Bitcoin. Likely from illicit. There's some of you guys listening to me right now that have more than that. Likely from illicit sources or cyber activity. And then Finland with a 90 Bitcoin acquired through seizures, though the exact source is not specified. So, yeah, I feel like some of these countries are probably just not talking about how much Bitcoin that they bought. I'm willing to bet that there are countries that have bought a lot more than this and they've just been quiet about it. I'm also willing to bet that obviously within those countries, especially like Russia, where's Russia here? You have millions of Bitcoin being bought by companies for treasury purposes. But it's interesting to see how far we've come and how Bitcoin, is being bought and treated like something of value as opposed to just being, the currency of Silk Road, like it used to be back in the day. Not financial advice. Do your own research. I will see you in the next video. Peace.